And what's going on, guys? It's Gladiator here, and welcome back to another Bee Swarm Simulator video. And today I'm going to be discussing how you should establish and create your blue hive. And I know there's like many of these videos. I can't express how many, but there's a lot of videos you will find all over several platforms regarding how to set up your blue hive. But like I'm going to say this further in this video as well, there is no perfect composition. There is a lot of factors that accumulate up to generally what you regard as the best blue hive. So that's why I'm going to show you what works best for you, or for me actually, and if it does well for you, that's great, but this is just what I run and what I'm comfortable with, so I decided I'll make a video on it anyways, because blue hive is quite a big deal at the moment, and it's been a whole year round in Bee Swarm Simulator. Alright, and sorry also, I have not made videos in the past couple days. I have made them, but I have not uploaded them, so I'm going to be uploading them all today as a little bit of a compilation to compensate for all the days I missed. But no worries, I will be making daily videos like I should have been. Anyways, let's get right into the guide. So I will cover every like segment of Blue Hive, so amulets, bee quips, macroing, hive. But I know most of you are probably here just to see the hive, because you've probably heard the rest enough, because it's quite you're probably familiar with it, because a lot of people have the same opinion. But if you're here for the hive, then that's why I'm going to be doing the hive review first. So now I'm just going to be going down from the bee menu and clicking on every bee that you do need in your hive, and I'll go over why you do, and then we'll go over some other stuff. Anyways, let's start. So the first bee that you do absolutely need in your hive is a gifted basic bee. This is a crucial bee for every hive, and it's not too difficult to get. It takes some time, but it's really good because it gives you 1.2 times pollen when it's gifted, which is incredible. It's a huge pollen buff to your base pollen stats, so I strongly recommend you get a gifted basic bee as soon as you can. Next up on the list is a little bit controversial. It is the gifted bomber bee, but if you're not already aware, the main source of pollen for blue hive is the blue bombs, because the buoyant bees, which are the best bees in the blue hive, I'll go over them later separately, they summon blue bombs, and this is what fills up your balloons and allows you to get more honey. So with the extra 15% bomb pollen, I think it's pretty worth it, and I do recommend bomber bee in your blue hive. Next up, we have bumblebee. It's another gifted blue type, which is very good because it actually adds up towards this gifted ability of tadpole bee. I'm going to show you real quick so I don't have to keep you guys on edge. So it's actually the gathering bubbles passive, and so basically this is what gives you pollen from bubbles, which is not amazing, but the pollen is still not that bad, and it increases 10% per each gifted blue bee type, which is very, very good considering you have so many different blue types you're going to keep in your blue hive. Also, the bumblebee gives you a solid blue bomb and nice capacity. Next up, we have the cool bee. Now, the majority of people will disagree with me on cool bee and say it is not actually necessary, but I like to have even more pollen, although at times my bag does fill up to the brim, and then my macro needs to reset. I still like to have excessive pollen, and it's just really good, works great for me. It's optional, you can test it if you like, but it works great for me, so I do recommend gifted cool bee for the blue boost and the blue pollen. Also, it's another blue type. Now, here's hasty bee. Here's one that is pretty unconditional. Most people would be confused hearing this, but I do really like hasty bee because I love haste, and I love to see my macro have constant max haste in the field. Now, there are some buffs that I will go over later that you always need to have at maximum, no matter what. While you're macroing or boosting or anything, while grinding, you have to have max focus, you have to have melody, and you have to have haste, in my opinion. You don't need haste, but I like it. It's really good, and I think hasty bee is better than the stubborn bee because it gives you so much haste. So if you don't know, stubborn bee is quite oftenly used in blue hives because people macro, and it gives you token ability lifespan. So what this essentially means is that your tokens will last longer in the field, allowing your macro to have more time to reach them before they disappear. But I think that's just the same effect as Hasty Bee, but Hasty Bee is better because it gives you haste, which is really cool and it's just convenient. And also, it gives you enough haste to be able to move around, your macro to move around and get the tokens quickly. So, it's up to you. And there's other haste-giving bees, but in my opinion, Gifted Hasty Bee is great for Blue Hive. And I cannot say anything, but I'm very happy with Gifted Hasty in my hive. You can confront me if you'd like, but that's the way I think. Alright, next up we have is Gifted Looker Bee. I'm going to move this so it's not in the way. It gives you 25% critical power, and it's another focus giving bee, which I mentioned is very important. Focus is something that you have to have at max at all times. It's just a constant buff. And then you have the critical power, which is good because if some people don't know that critical like power doesn't only apply to damage as in hurting mobs, but it also applies to pollen. So if I go ahead and put on pollen text, you can tell that all these like flying ones, the moving, the ones that shake, those are actual critical bomb, like critical pollen shots, which is good and it really helps fill up your balloons. So that's why I do recommend using Gifted Looker Bee to increase your critical power so you get more pollen. Alright, moving on to the epic bees. The next bee I'm going to be talking about is the Gifted Bubble Bee. Now, most people like Cool Bee say this is not necessary because bombs in Blue Hive are far stronger than bubbles. They will always do you more good, and they'll get you far more pollen than bubbles. But I still like the Gifted Bubble Bee because it gives you the 50% bubble pollen, which is not too bad. I like bubbles, and they're a huge deal in Blue Hive, so why not make the most out of them and like optimize them? I don't know. It's like I said, preference. My hive is not going to work for everyone by any means, and really the video is titled the updated like perfect blue hive because I need a catchy title, but also it is true in a way because this is pretty much the perfect blue hive for me. It's not going to be perfect for some of you, but that's the beauty of Bee Swarm. You get to choose what you want to do with your hive. I'm just here to guide you along your way. But back to the topic, Bumblebee is a pretty solid bee. I recommend. It's another gifted blue type as well, and you got blue bombs from it. Alright, next up, Bucklebee is a must-have bee for the 20% blue field capacity. Capacity is extremely important to blue because that's what gives you your balloons room to be filled, which gets you more pollen, which leads to more honey. So Gifted Bucklebee is great for the blue boost. It's another blue type, and it's all around a great bee, especially because of the 20% more blue field pollen capacity. Alright, moving on. We're going to go to the Commander Bee now. Now, Commander Bee is a good bee because it gives you the critical chance and the focus. It's not incredible, but pretty much every blue hive uses it just for the critical chance and the focus. So I do recommend using Commander Bee. It's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, moving on to the Frosty Bee. Now, Frosty Bee is quite a valid bee. I think it's good because of the 30% more blue bomb pollen, which is amazing because, like I said, bombs are the most important things to Blue Hive. So if you don't have bombs, then you're pretty much screwed. But this guy really helps out with the bomb pollen. So Frosty Bee is a huge win, and I just cannot say anything but keep him in your hive. Also, the blue boost blue bomb is great, as well as the extra blue gifted type. Okay, next we have is the Shocked Bee. Now, Shocked Bee is kind of up to you. I like it because it's another token link giving bee, which you don't have too many of those apart from musics actually. And it gives you more haste. So like I said, this is more about the haste and the token link. It also gives you nice white pollen and pine tree, which is more where you're probably going to be macroing. It has quite a lot of white flowers, so it's a good bee. I do recommend it. Most people run it anyways. Alright, moving on to the Diamond Bee. This bee is amazing. It was gotten a buff earlier this year from its original 1.1 times convert rate to its 1.2 times convert rate, which makes this bee amazing for converting, and it converts pollen so fast, and it's a great bee, and it boosts your whole hive to have more convert rate. So Diamond Bee is great. Also, the other abilities are not too bad. Moving on to the Music Bees. Alright, Music Bees is you don't need a certain quantity. There's a lot of people that I know, a lot of people that run 7 Music Bees, which is very obscure and it's like very aggressive approach to macroing. Some people only run 2 or 3, but I think best is to settle around 4 or 5, maybe 3, whatever works best for you. Bee quips add up to if you need music bees. I'll talk about them later. But I like to keep 4 music bees for the constant melody, focus, and token links. If you want any more, it's really just for the token link. But your shock bee will do that as well. Provide. Alright, next thing is Ninja Bee. Here's another bee people don't like to use. I like to use it for the haste. You probably guessed. So now that gives us literally 3 haste giving bees, which is quite overboard, but I still like it this way. So I do encourage you to use Ninja Bee. It's also another gifted blue type, and it gives you blue bomb and the +5 bee move speed. Not too bad because tadpole bees are very slow bees, so this will give them a little bit more speed. Alright, moving on to the mythic bees. This is the exciting part. Alright, now we have to cover the buoyant bees. So this is your highlight of Blue Hive. You are going to be a Blue Hive because of these bees, and not really vice versa. But these bees are broken because they give you blue bomb plus, which is just the blue bombs. They give you this inflate balloons, which is really good. It increases the pollen in your balloons on the field, and it increases each time by its hive level, which is nice. You can read through this. I'm gonna go over them more. And then the surprise party is awesome because the surprise party gives you so much pollen and bee ability rate. It's great. And then the balloon enthusiast has 3 times convert amount, which is another great thing worth noting. So all around, this bee is just amazing, and this is the reason blue hives exist nowadays. So I'm gonna go over the amount. It's very up to you. Now, like this dude right here is running 24 buoyant bees. I run 22. Now, don't mix this up. This is only to be ran this many buoyants if you macro or boost with other people. If you're a solo player, then I recommend you only run like 15 or so. But if you do macro and play with other people, then I strongly encourage you to use like anywhere from 20 to 25. I like to do 22 right in the middle so I can fit in my ninja, hasty, bubble, and cool. So, because I like those bees and I just keep them because I appreciate them. It's more about fun for me. Alright, moving on. We have the fuzzy bee. You only need 1 fuzzy bee. And since you're going to be macroing and boosting with other players, which I'll talk about later once again, I'm going to mention that. It's really good because it pollinates the field and keeps your flowers at max star flowers. So those are like the best tier flowers. And that gives you a lot more pollen. Also, the bomb power from the gifted hive bonus is great. And I do encourage you to keep it for that. As well as obviously the pollen haze. Because that's really important. Okay, moving on to the tadpole bees. Now, most people would go a little overboard on tadpole bees, but I don't think you need more than 8. People run from 5 to 8, but I think 7 is a good amount. Mainly, you need this many because of you want constant baby love. That's another thing I didn't point out. I am going to point this now that you do need constant baby love when you're on the field. So try to gift as many tadpole bees as you can. It's a good bee, like I said, because of the baby love, and it gives you frogs. These are the things that will carry your blue hive. They summon bubbles, so you need frogs. And if your friends have tadpole bees, that's great. Like I said, if you're a solo player, then I suggest your ratio of buoyant to tadpole bees should be somewhere around even or equal. So like maybe 14-14, 15-15. It's up to you. But if you do associate yourself with other players, I recommend something close to mine, which is 22-7. Anywhere from like the margin of 24 to 6 or 20 to 9 should be doing fine for you. Okay, moving on to the event bees. Now, most people like to keep their event bees, which is not a bad thing, but it's just not going to do you any good. I really think the only bees you're obligated to have in the event bee section is bear bee, gummy bee, and tabby bee. That's it. If you're an aggressive macroer like me, then you don't need to do quests and like work hard, and all you have left to do is macro and boost, then I don't think you need anything more than these 3 bees. The bear bee is obviously the best bee in Bee Swarm. It gives you the plus 10% pollen, and it gives you the bear morph, which is great. Then the gummy bee is obviously for the goo and the honey per pollen, because that's just goated. And then finally, you have the tabby bee for the 50% more critical power. But yeah, so there we go. That is pretty much the entire hive composition. Like I said, there is nothing perfect, but this is what I like to base my hive off of, and if you'd like to as well, that's great. And I'd like to know your thoughts about what hive you use and how you think differently in contrast or similarly to my opinion about blue hive, because that's great. That's what I like about Bee Swarm. People have different opinions, and you can make your own thing that works best for you. Constructed. Alright, moving on now. If you only cared about the hive part of this video, then you can go ahead and click off now. I'm going to just be talking about other blue hive things, such as bee quips, what macros to use, who to associate yourself with, amulets, stuff that you've probably heard before. So if you don't need anything but you wanted to see my hive composition, then you can go ahead and click off the video now because I'm done with the hive section. Alright, moving on, here we have the amulets. So I'm going to go over the amulets. I think we're going to start with shell amulets. This doesn't really do much for you. Just try to get goo. It doesn't really matter. The Supreme Ant Amulet, try to get yourself critical power and chance and pollen and blue pollen. So mine is okay. Then go with the Moon Amulet for a high honey per pollen and white pollen amulet. And here's where my bat stick amulet comes in. I've tried countless times to get a better amulet, but it's just never worked out. So this is what I have right now, but try to get better stats than me. Try to get a diamond with more capacity, more convert rate, blue bomb pollen, and blue bombs. And then maybe pollen if it's possible. If not, just get the bomb from battle or critical chance, respawn time, or whatever that is. Okay, so that's... Oh, wait, we have to go over the Supreme Star Amulet. Okay, so the best double passive for Blue Hive is the Pop Star and Star Shower combination. This is mainly because Star Shower gives you a constant 1.2 times 5 capacity on the field. So it's a permanent buff, and your macro will miss the stars, the shooting stars, most of the time. But occasionally it'll catch them, which gives you a nice little boost there. And when you're boosting, it comes in really, really helpful. So it's the best combo for blue at the moment. I recommend you get a solid convert rate on your amulet, like mine, for instance. I do think you should get some bee ability rate. And then blue pollen and white pollen is good because those are the essential pollens on the pine tree forest field. And then you just have regular pollen. So my amulet is fairly solid. I think it's pretty good. You could base yourself off of this. But it's extremely difficult to get a really good amulet, and it takes you lots of rolls. So if you're not too rich on honey, I think you should just stick to trying to get a good single passive. So just get a pop star rather than a measly average pop star star shower. Go for a really advanced pop star because those are much cheaper than getting a double passive. Anyways, moving on to bee quips. Now, bee quips are kind of a gift because, as you can see, I don't have many slots for bee quips. I only have 8. But I know several people who have 15 and more, and that's really, really crucial. So, if you do have more bee quip slots, that's great. But here are the bee quips that are really necessary. The icicles are good bee quips because they give you the objective blue bomb pollen, which is great. They also give you like a hive bonus of blue bomb pollen. Then you have the Beesman's Tree Hat, which is good for the convert amount and the critical chance, and it gives you some capacity and stuff. You have the Pine Cone, which is super important because this boosts the pine tree field, which is where you're going to be macroing. For some reason, it's not equipped to my bees right now. I'll go ahead and put it there. It gives you a lot of convert amount. It gives you a lot of pine tree forest pollen and capacity. Then you have the Snow Tiara, which is one of the best bee quips. It's great for blue. It has the convert amount and the gather amount, as well as all the hive bonuses. So I think if you have one, that's great, but if you don't, then maybe next year. Bubble Light is a good bee, or a good bee quip, because it gives you the bubble pollen and it gives you the move speed as well as the convert amount, so I recommend it if you do have it. Then the bottle cap is a decent bee quip. Here's another one I'll go over in a bit. But the bottle cap just gives you the convert amount and the critical power. It's nothing too crazy, but it's okay if you have space for it. The snow globes are great for the snow globe shake ability, and then you have the bomb pollen, which is awesome on both of them. I recommend using multiple. I have more, but I'll go ahead and show you. And I do recommend these. Bee quips are very OP. Also, a toy drum might be a good bee quip for you if you don't have many haste-giving bees. I have 3 of them. Like I said, I'd go crazy with haste. I go overboard. So you don't actually need to use a toy drum unless you only want to use like 1 or 2 haste giving bees, even like 1. Then you should equip the toy drum so it gives you haste when your bees give you haste. I don't need it at the moment. And yeah, that's pretty much all of them. Like, you don't really need these. If you have a gifted puppy already, then give it the antlers. If you don't, then you don't need it. And the festive wreath, you don't need a festive bee in your hive either. So that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna go over how you should who you should macro with. So I think macroing, you need to macro if you're a blue hive. Macros essentially are these scripts right here with the GUIs. I recommend Natro macro. I'm gonna link you a link of the server invite of Natro, which gives you a bunch of different details and the macro itself, so you can download it and check it out. It has a pretty simple GUI, so it's very easy to customize and use what's best for you. And it's a good macro all over, so I think you should get it. And there's other macros, but those are all in the macro Beast One Thing macro server, which I can also go ahead and link in the description. Okay, other than that, I think you should not macro with more than 3 people. I think 3 people is the perfect amount of macroers. If you get a 4th person in to claim their hive, it's going to become super laggy, which is going to be bad for you. And your bees will not be producing as many tokens proficiently, and you won't be succeeding what you need to be doing. So I don't recommend using 4 blue hives to macro. 2 might work, but it's 1 person might be converting while the other one's in the field, so it doesn't work great. 3 is the perfect setup, so I recommend you get 2 friends or players you just know that are able to macro 24/7 at all times, so they can help you out with your macro as well. And I recommend you macro those planters because nectars are super crucial. So the nectars that you must have are comforting, which for this is great because it's the blue pollen and it gives you all the convert rate and stuff. The satisfying is great for the honey at hive because that's what you gain more honey from the balloons when you're your hive converting. And then the motivating is also great for the convert rate and the blue pollen. And then another nectar that you should always have at max, I don't right now just because I've not been grinding it recently, is the refreshing nectar. I will go ahead and harvest my plantain with refreshing so I can give you a little idea of why it's so good. It's really mainly just for the convert rate. Wait, let me go find where it is. It is in blue flower, okay. So yeah, nectars are super important. You need these. You will make so much more using these nectars to macro. So I strongly encourage you to use comforting, satisfying, and motivating nectars at all times. Try to get them to max if you can while you're macro. And your macro should do them, especially if you use Natro, like I do. So I do encourage you to use Natro. But whoop, here you go. This is the refreshing. It's mainly only good for the blue bee convert rate, but it gives you a huge boost of blue bee convert rate. So it's not just like a minimal thing. If you can get this to max, then your bees will be converting your balloons, tearing through them like crazy. So that's why refreshing is a good nectar and suggest you use it. But anyways, other than that, I've covered pretty much every material of Blue Hive you need at the moment. If there's something I missed, I can go back and do a video on it, but I don't want this to be extremely long. So thank you guys for sticking to the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments or on my Discord or anything like that. So thank you all for watching this video, and we'll see you next time. Peace!